What's up, you guys? Thank you for clicking on this video. So as you can tell by the title, we're talking a little bit of Thrilling 30. It's something I grew up on and so many other people who watch this channel as well. It's just fond memories at this point, you know? 2013, 2014, the Generations line got a little bit of a facelift after the debauchery in 2012 with the crazy budget cuts. I know my guy TJ Omega talked about this recently, like a week ago. It was crazy. Even I remember on TFW back then, people were so depressed at the new Transformers figures we were getting in 2012 and 2013. And then it kind of started to revert back a little bit very slowly with each toy line to where it is since 2019's Siege, where it seems like they found a balance with having good figures and the same budget that we've been getting. But, you know, Thrilling 30 was like the first line where it felt like Transformers Generations was starting to kind of come back just a little bit. And even nowadays, there's so many figures back then for today's standards that still hold up. And I just want to go through this video talking about some figures that are still great till this day and are probably better than some of the newer versions. So after Universe 2.0 ended in 2009, we got Generations in 2010, which kind of took its place with deluxes and Voyagers that, you know, didn't fit in the Prime toy line or the movie toy line at the time. And then it shifted to more so video game stuff. And then, of course, the budget cuts happened in 2012. And then enter Thrilling 30. You get to the craziness. Like, let's start off here with, a couple deluxes that were just bangers back then. Freaking RC. You know, people had their doubts about this figure and didn't like it at the time, but they used this as a basis for the new Studio Series 86 RC. That just tells you right there how this figure still holds up. No, it's not perfect, but at the time, this was the first ever G1 RC Hasbro ever made. Yes, you had the Energon Scout class, but that doesn't count. It's its own original design, basically. This was the first 100% G1 figure. Then you got the IDW Weapons, which was baller with those swords. It was just a well thought out figure for the time. And even now, people prefer this one over the Earthrise or the 86 figure. And then you get something like Armada's Starscream. Yes, he was deluxe, which kind of did suck, but you had the firing missiles. They kind of reinvented the Energon blade wings a little bit to where it was kind of clever, where there were separate blades that transformed and stored behind the wings. That's something that even the Legacy figure couldn't even replicate or do better. So that's even something that a Deluxe Armada Starscream from over 10 years ago has over the new Legacy figure. And then you got Scoop here, which is basically the basis for every Target Master figure we've gotten after since Siege and Earthrise and Legacy, with how they handle the Target Masters nowadays. And maybe even the Target Masters that came with Scoop are a bit better than the ones we get now. They feel like they just straight up reverted back to how they did it in the 80s in G1 rather than trying to, reinvent it and modernize it a little bit where it got actual articulation and a transformation for the Target Masters. But whatever, it was still, you know, the starting point for what we got with Target Masters nowadays, which arguably is pretty good. I mean, Needle Nose is a great figure. The Skids in cross-cut mold till this day is better than that trash Legacy Skids mold we got a couple years back. This one is amazing. The transformation is a bit more interesting. You got all these flip-out weapons, which Hasbro cannot do nowadays on a deluxe figure, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. Then he comes with these two extra handheld cannons that can combine into one gun, which is awesome. All the flip-out features and weapons on this guy is just crazy, and he still has a pretty decent range of articulation, even with all those gimmicks. Like, that was like prime deluxe class figure back then, to me at least. And then you got Chromia, which in my opinion is probably the best female deluxe class Generations mold we've ever gotten. Probably the best female mold we've gotten in general, whether it's Voyager, deluxe, or leader class. And, you know, the articulation, it being a slight retool from Prime Deluxe RC, tells you all that you need to know about this thing, because that figure is fantastic in its own way too, especially with the articulation and the movement. And you get that a little bit here with this Chromia. And then so many other banger deluxes, like the Waspinator. He might be a little bit better than the Kingdom one, I'm not gonna lie. Even though the Kingdom one is an organic bug and this one's a bit more Cybertronian and IDW-esque, I still think the look of him is a bit better than the Kingdom one. It's not as stubby in robot mode. Tankor, which is like one of the only Beast Machines figures we've ever gotten updated. I hope they just upscale this and add a couple extra joints of articulation and put him as either a Voyager or a Leader class one day. That would be amazing. And then you had the Orion Pax mold, which still to this day is probably the best Generations Orion Pax we've ever gotten. The Power of the Primes one sucks. The Legacy one from a couple years ago sucks because it's just basically a cup repaint. But this one right here, it's got nice articulation. It comes with an axe, a gun. The transformation is simple yet very involved. It's still a great figure, it's a great deluxe till this day, 10 years later. And then you got Stealth Bomber Megatron. Yes, he should have probably been a Leader class, but at this time they weren't really doing Generations Leader class figures like that. So we took what we could get, and it's still a great figure till this day. If they add a couple extra pieces of articulation and basically just upscale this, I wouldn't mind buying it at Voyager or Leader class. And then the Voyagers, it gets even crazier here a little bit with the Springer and the Sandstorm figure, the way they remolded those two to be basically completely different looking figures but still sharing the same mold. It's still mind-boggling to me how they were able to pull that off. Just a sign of genius engineering that you get from Hasbro sometimes. Then you get Voyager Whirl, which comes with all these crazy weapons, and the overall design and transformation of him is just so fun and sleek to just pick up and play with. That's still one of my favorite Generations figures of all time. And the way you can combine the weapons and all the different clips and ports on it is just so fun to use and think about how you could rearrange the weapons on the figure and everything. And I know this figure is a bit, you know, controversial, especially with some of the QC problems some of these copies of the mold had. But Blitzwing, I think he's better than the Leader class one. I'm sorry, but I think that the animated feature on him is sick. The fact that you don't have to pay Leader class price for a triple changer that basically has the same amount of articulation as the Legacy one. He even comes with a firing missile, his sword, and gun still, which for Voyager class price is fantastic, especially for today's standards. He's got the 3 different heads from animated, and the transformations make some solid different modes, maybe even better than the Leader class, I'd say, because they're not going for the stupid animation accuracy where it's got tank parts hanging off of the jet like a sandwich. You get that a little bit here, but I wouldn't say as bad as the new Legacy Leader. So in my opinion, at least, this Blitzwing is still the best Generations Blitzwing we've gotten. And then you get Roadbuster, who comes with all these weapons, a firing missile. Yes, he should have been a Leader class or whatever, but for G1 scale, he's basically perfect. And all these weapons alone just make for a fun figure. Then you get Rhinox, who is basically better than the Kingdom one. The transformation is a lot more streamlined. The weapons look a lot better, and it's even got a spinning Gatling gun feature that is frankly fun. And I'm not even somebody who cares about gimmicks on figures, but that's a gimmick that I really like, actually. And the overall look of him in robot mode is better than the Kingdom one. He's not as stumpy. The paint is a bit better. And you get Skybite, which I don't know if it's going to be better than the new Age of the Primes one next year, but still a decent figure for its time, especially for an updated one. And then Brainstorm. Oh my god, this figure is still the best Headmaster figure I think we've ever gotten. He's got the feature in his chest that shows the levels of power, I think, with the character. The Headmaster is nice and articulated a little bit there, and it created the basis for Titan's Return, basically. They used the same engineering, and it worked out pretty well, if you ask me. And this Brainstorm, I like it better than the Titan's Return, and it might be one of my favorite Voyager class Generations figures ever made. I don't know. And then the only leader class that was an original mold and not a repainted exclusive from the Movieverse line, Jetfire. Till this day, this is still a good Jetfire for your Generations collection. If you don't want to spend the $100 on the Siege one and you don't want one that is 13 inches tall, you could get one that's about 8-9 inches tall. Comes with a bunch of chromed out weapons, firing missile. This one comes with the ears on the face shield, which I myself even prefer to the Siege face shield that we got. So even he's got a little bit better design to him than the Siege one at times. He's got an Earth jet mode, which you could have, one that's Cybertronian, like the Siege figure, and then you could have one that's an Earth mode, like this Thrilling 31 here. So you've even got options on what you want to do with the character now, and it's still a solid figure till this day, especially for a leader class. He's nice and big. He's got all those ratchets on him. When I was a little kid, this was my figure to end all figures. I wanted him so bad, and when I got him for Christmas 2015, I couldn't believe it. He's got the chromed out jetpack. Oh man, it was just a great figure for the time, and it still holds up a little bit today. I do think the Siege one is better, but even alone, if you don't want one that's too expensive or too big, this is still a fantastic option. Better than the Classics Voyager class. But yeah, guys, that pretty much ends it for the little Thrilling 30 look back here. A lot of great figures that are still good till this day, and some of them even better than the updated versions we've gotten 10 years since. But yeah, guys, let me know down in the comments below. How do y'all feel about the Thrilling 30 line in 2024, 10 years later? All my social medias are linked down below, including my email if you guys want to hit me up about business inquiries, or if you want to message me about whatever, or if you want to commission a diorama from me, because I make dioramas for people for their stop motions, photography, or irregular display shelves in your homes. You can either hit me up on any of my social media accounts or just email me and we can work out a deal. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching this video. Catch y'all in the next one. Bye!